hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at WION.com.
Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Welcome back. You are watching WION World is One. Thank you very much for staying with us. I'm Eric Njoka. Time now for news making headlines across the globe on Speed News. Protests flared up in Paris after the Macron government pushed through an unpopular pension system overhaul. Without a vote in the lower house, French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne used a special procedure to push the bill amid boos and shouts to resign, causing rare chaotic scenes in the French parliament. Demonstrators took to the streets of several other French cities, including Marseille and Paris. Police fired tear gas and water cannon to disperse the angry protesters opposing the reforms. In Nantes, demonstrators hurled objects at police and overturned rubbish bins on the streets as smoke from tear gas rose around them. Two days after U.S. drone downed by a Russian jet intercepted it over the Black Sea, United States has now indicated that Russia is likely to try to recover the debris. Officials, however, added that it is very unlikely that Russia will be able to recover anything useful. According to reports, Russian ships have been seen near the area where the drone had crashed. However, it is not clear if they are still in the area.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for your
Poland's president has announced that his country plans to give Ukraine around a dozen MiG-29 fighter jets. This would make Poland first NATO member to fulfill the Ukrainian government's increasingly urgent requests for warplanes. The president announced that Poland would hand over 4 of the Soviet-made warplanes within the next few days and that the rest needed servicing and would be supplied later. The total number of warplanes could be between 11 and 19. The White House has said that the United States has sufficient resources to support Ukraine through the end of the fiscal year. This is after U.S. announced a new military aid package for Ukraine worth $400 million a few days ago. According to reports, Ukraine has received about $6 billion in Western aid so far this year. Central bank officials in the United States have said that Ukraine is working to increase the share of grants in the Western aid and that Western support had helped replenish the central bank's reserves. Australia has said it is planning to buy up to 220 Tomahawk cruise missiles from the United States. The deal comes days after Australia announced it would buy nuclear-powered attack submarines from the United States to modernize its fleet amid growing concerns about China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. Australian officials say the new nuclear-powered submarines will be able to fire the Tomahawk missiles. The Australian missile sale comes with a price tag of nearly $900 million. British authorities have announced that they are banning Chinese-owned video sharing app TikTok from government mobile phones on security grounds. This follows similar moves by the United States and European Union. Officials describe the ban as a precautionary measure. The move, however, does not apply to personal phones and devices. There are growing concerns that TikTok's parent company ByteDance would give user data such as browsing history and location to the Chinese government. The company, meanwhile, has insisted that such concerns are based on misinformation and said it was taking steps to boost protection of user data from the United Kingdom and Europe. The White House, meanwhile, on Thursday refused to confirm reports that President Joe Biden is threatening a U.S. ban on TikTok unless its Chinese owners sell their stakes in the popular video sharing app. While refusing to address the potential ban, White House press secretary said that officials are going to be clear when it comes to critical concerns like national security and privacy. The questions on potential ban comes after the Wall Street Journal on Wednesday reported that the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States was threatening a U.S. ban on the app unless its owners, Beijing-based ByteDance, divested. A freight train derailed near Washington on Thursday that spilled around 5,000 gallons of diesel. Emergency crews began responding after the incident. According to officials, there is no indication of impacts on water or wildlife. The cause of the incident is under investigation and no immediate injuries were reported. Four Palestinians were killed, including a teenager, in an Israeli raid in the West Bank city of Jenin on Thursday, according to Palestinian officials. The Israeli military confirmed its forces were operating in the city of Jenin on the day and later said that troops killed 2 wanted members of the Islamic Jihad militant group and a third person who was killed, quote-unquote, after attempting to attack the forces with a crowbar. The incident is the latest bloodshed in a year-long wave of violence in the region. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier received Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his official residence on Thursday. The visit comes amid ongoing protests in Israel over the judicial reforms by its government that have triggered mass unrest in recent weeks. The Israeli government's drive to limit Supreme Court powers while increasing its own power in selecting judges has caused alarm at home and abroad about the country's democratic checks and balances. And still talking about Israel, protesters took to the streets of Tel Aviv on Thursday night as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected a compromise deal for his government's planned judicial overhaul. Protesters dubbed the day a day of resistance and blocked roads in Tel Aviv and clashed with the Israeli police. Netanyahu, while departing on a state visit to Germany on Wednesday, said that a proposed compromise outlined by President Isaac Herzog would not restore balance to the branches of government. His government defends the reforms as they say the Supreme Court too often overreaches and intervenes in political matters it has no mandate to rule on. Iran's top security official held high-level talks in the United Arab Emirates on Thursday. This is as Tehran seeks greater outreach to Gulf states amid mounting tensions with the West over the country's nuclear work and its drone sales to Russia. The visit comes days after Tehran and Riyadh reached a China-facilitated deal to re-establish relations and reopen embassies within 2 months after years of hostility. After years of animosity on different sides of geopolitical rivalries, the UAE has also started re-engaging with Tehran, which has resulted in upgraded diplomatic ties. British Foreign Secretary is in Georgia for an official visit. He will hold meetings with Georgia's Foreign Minister and also with the Prime Minister, which will discuss bilateral and multilateral cooperation in economic, political and security areas. Now, according to British government's official site, during a visit to the two countries, Moldova and Georgia, Foreign Secretary will announce new funding to boost regional resilience against Russian malign interference, which is an extra $12 million to support economic and governance reforms in Moldova and new funding to strengthen the security of next year's elections in Georgia. The United Nations backed Turkey and Ukraine on Thursday by calling for a 120-day rollover of an agreement allowing the safe export of grain from several Ukrainian Black Sea ports. This is after Russia said it would only extend the pact for 60 days. The pact is due to expire on March 18th. It was brokered with Russia and Ukraine by the United Nations and Turkey in July and renewed in November last year to combat a global food crisis that was fueled in part by the war in Ukraine and blockade of its Black Sea grain exports. The United Nations Security Council on Thursday asked Secretary General Antonio Guterres to provide an independent assessment on how to deal with Afghanistan's Taliban administration and combat challenges, including its crackdown on women and girls' rights. The UAE and Japan co-sponsored the resolution asking United Nations Secretary General to establish an independent panel to assess the situation. Taliban has banned women and girls from attending high school and university, visiting parks and working for aid groups. Women are also not allowed to leave the home without a male companion or relative and must cover their faces with a hijab. Pushing back against U.S. criticism of his record on cracking down on trafficking in the lethal drug, Mexico's president says that greater quantities of synthetic opioid, fentanyl, directly enter the United States and Canada than Mexico. Fentanyl is a powerful painkiller and has been blamed for fueling a surge in U.S. drug overdoses, and some Republican lawmakers have urged Washington to authorize the use of military force in Mexico to bring the country's drug gangs to heel. However, Mexico's president has said it is not Mexico responsible for introducing most fentanyl into the United States. In Brazil's Rio de Janeiro, a group of alleged criminals blocked a road and barricaded the roads and banned some vehicles to avoid being arrested during an operation against drug trafficking. A burnt bus was left in the streets after it was set on fire. The federal police informed 6 trucks were also set on fire along with barricades to block different roads. Some of the drivers did not even have the chance to take the money and belongings. Ten miners reported missing after an explosion caused by accumulated gas in coal mines in central Colombia have been found dead, which raises the death toll to 21 in the incident. The explosion in several adjoining coal mines took place late on Tuesday in rural area of the country. Activities at the mines have been suspended. According to officials, and an investigation to establish the causes of the explosion will take place before a reopening can be considered.
Prohibido el paso.
Microsoft has announced its latest plans to put artificial intelligence into the hands of more users. The tech giant previewed a new AI co-pilot for Microsoft 365, its product suite that includes Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, and Outlook emails. The company says that first open to select business customers for testing, AI will offer a draft in these applications, speeding up content creation and freeing up workers' time. The new announcement reflects a fierce competition to deploy software that could reshape how people work between tech companies. A 3-story building collapsed into a river east of Lima as torrential rains caused by the passing of cyclone Yaku in Peru. Local media reported that the family living in the house evacuated before the collapse. The heavy rains have left at least 6 people dead and over 3,000 people homeless in Peru over the last few days as the powerful cyclone unleashed torrential rains, battering hundreds of homes and causing major disruptions in northern parts of the country.